سلام تعنا نعاكم يكون زخبركم سمعتنا بكابنا بميديا نلوم على عسران حدن مقابيت كلتشحن عسران سلستن زتدالو مدب كحزلكم قريبا لخو سامو وداتا مدبنا مسانا كتصنحون مكتتالكم نعدم كبرات خاتتلتنا أولات كابنا بميديا نمخان سابسكرايب كتقبرون نتانا يدول ملكت بمتواق خاتتلت مدبنا نخدكونو دقيمة بتحتنا عدم لومي فليز بلا مدبي حزلكم مسيازر لخو كساب موداتا مسانا كتصنحو عدم حصير تاريخ هوت نايتا وعرو تطبقي سباو مسلات صحافيتن زخونت تهاني جمال محمد أمانيو تهاني كولاديا جمال محمد أمان كولاديتا سعاد نور حسينن بشحن 994 ناب جدة سعود عربية توليد عبيا تهاني بخلت شحن 17 ناب كندي نام مبوك الهجرة إيرترا تملس كم كله إيرترا وداقم الناس سدت مس ولدان مسنا اشتحاتان ناب عد إنجليز كسلت تهاني دحري منبر ورقة مركبة بزح كيتسنحت نابتا توليدا زعابية الله كتما جدة تمليسا بعلا اتوننا تكال فتيرا جدان لندن دا تمالالستن كلا علت عسران حادن مقابيت كلتشان عسران كلتن اما بل عسران شمونتن عمت عدمئة بهندبت كابذا علم بموت تفليتنا تهاني بتفطر حلايتن فكارن بمنبارا ناي قربا بيت السبن مسارحتان زمسكرو حقيو تهاني نتا توليدا زي عبية الله كوار آرياتا زي تفلت إيرترا بزنبرا العولها قراو فقري بإيرترا ونتا كرعتن حبتن نقولهم إيرتراويان بزي فلالاي بمعري الترئي بمنبارا من أسيات إيرتراويان بعد إنجليز مسلم نخرخبوت الطابق زنبرت هركوتي من أسيان را تهاني شقر سدتنياتات نمقلال مسعاب بيتي مرحتي سم الزنا عد إنجليز بمرخاب نزوم بحرن سهران سنتقوم زمصو من أسيات كساب كندي مرت كم زنبرم مقمات زدليو أيكونن بمبالي يخوننبر الجوين عب وحسبتا أتنا أفزبولو وان وفايتا كسونو نكلو برقص بقاي كونن بمبال شقر سدتنياتات كتفتح تسعر زنبرت تبع من سيانيرا زيت راي يكونن تهاني كإلانا إيدة طبب بمبارا أب مكاين زنتلتلن كومو أب غزا مندق زتقعن متحزي مفاتحين سريحة شياطو ناب سقومات كوعل تقبر كم زنبرت مسارحتا يمسكرو نزي بمسكرنت بمسارحتا كساب كندي حلايتن فكارن كم زنبرت زقلصو تهاني أبريتك زتبهالي تكالناي أفلام درست بزح صحفات كم زبركتت كمون أبيالا بحيز زتبهالي تكال زبلست صحفيتن زبلست صحفاتن أقربا بغلت شحن 10 سلمات زوسدت يعني را زخبركم تخاتلتنا دحلزا مساقاقر دعاء مز سعبو مدباتنا كاتاتلو بخبري أعدم
اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم واعف عنهم اللهم اجعل قبورهم روضة من رياض الجنة.
السلام عليكم. أتوقع أنه من أصعب الأمور أن الواحد يتكلم على شخص يعني جدا عزيز عليه وفقده. فتهاني الله يرحمها يعني كانت فعليا أختي الصغيرة، فالله يرحمها برحمته. أول مرة قابلت تهاني كان عندنا في الشركة، كانت جاية علشان انترفيو، وما كانت هي البنت الوحيدة، يعني جات وكان معاها مجموعة من المتدربات عشان هذه الوظيفة، وكان يومها جدا زحمة، فبالتالي قررت أني أجتمع مع الكل مرة واحدة. الشيء المميز جدا كانت تهاني مختلفة عن غيرها لأنها كانت أكثر وحدة عندها القدرة على الإنصات، فكانت تسمع بشكل جدا كويس. كانت تعرف ماذا تتكلم، وكانت تعرف إيش تقول، وكان في عيونها يعني لمعة عجيبة، يعني كانت ذكية، واضح في ردودها، واضح في قدرتها على الاستماع بشكل جيد، واضح في عدم مقاطعتها، واضح كمان في أسئلتها اللي كانت تسألها. فقررت وقتها إنه تهاني هي أنسب وحدة لهذه الوظيفة، خاصة إنها كانت وظيفة جونيور ومتدربة وكذا. وبدأت معنا العمل فعلا. طيلة عمل تهاني معي تحديدا ومع الفريق بشكل عام كانت الله يرحمها فعلا كانت زي النسمة، كانت لطيفة جدا مع الكل، كانت ودودة مع الكل، عرفت الناس بشكل سريع، ومش بس عرفت الناس، يعني كانت تعرف الشخص، تعرف الشخص اللي معاها مش كاسم تعرفه، بس عمليا هذا الشيء خلى تهاني قريبة من كل الناس، وخلى كل الناس قريبة من تهاني. فكان إذا حصلت يعني مشكلة مثلا في الفريق أو مشكلة في العمل أو كذا، عبر تهاني أقدر أعرف إيش المشكلة، إيش سببها، لأنها كانت قريبة من الكل، وكانت تفهم الكل، وكانت تعرف الكل، فكانت لطيفة مع الجميع، وكانت متحمسة دائما. عندها كان إحساس عالي جدا 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 بالمسؤولية، يعني كانت لما تأخذ مهمة أو تاسك معين كانت حريصة جدا على إنها تأديه بأكمل وجه ممكن. أحيانا تخلص في وقت أقصر بكثير من الوقت المطلوب، بس حتى تثبت مقدرتها على إنجاز هذه المهمة، وعلى أنها كفؤ، يعني على أنها قادرة أنها تأديها بشكل جيد. فكانت الله يرحمها فعلا زي النسمة مع الجميع، لطيفة مع الجميع، ودودة مع الجميع، محبة للجميع. فكانت يعني سبحان الله فريدة من نوعها. وكانت سريعة التعلم كمان، الله يرحمها. ويمكن هذه الأشياء كلها، وهذه السمات الشخصية كلها، وهذه الصفات كلها خلتها في وقت قياسي مش بس محبوبة، خلتها في وقت قياسي تكون دائرة علاقات وأصدقاء كثيرة. لهذا كل ما ذكرت تهاني كانت دائما تذكر بالخير، كانت دائما 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 تذكر بالخير. الله يرحمها ويغفر لها. يعني ما أعرف إيش أقول صراحة. لكن كل اللي أقدر أقول إنه فعلا تهاني كان زي الوردة اللي قطفت يعني بدري جدا، لكن هذه إرادة ربنا ومشيئته وخيرته، فالله يرحمها بواسع رحمته ومغفرته يا رب. الله يرحمها برحمته.
Tahani. I remember it wasn't the first time I ever met Tahani, but it was one of the first times that I spoke to her. I was only just starting at Turn at the time, and I had been working at the Red Cross, and she had been involved with the Red Cross Hackney Day Center, and we went to a poetry reading that some of the Red Cross communities artists were speaking in, and she did a ukulele song, and I just remember starting to talk to her, and she was like the coolest, brightest, like smartest, just sounded like the most driven person that I had met in so long. She was telling me, oh yeah, I'm starting this business. We were talking, I said I had just started working at a business and entrepreneurship support organization for people with refugee background, and she said, I'm starting a business. And I was like, oh really, you should join Turn. And then she, just like she always did, would be true to her word and looking for ways to come up in life. And so yeah, she joined the program just a few months later, and then, you know, I had the privilege of working with her for about a year. Even when she was stuck in Saudi Arabia, she would, during the pandemic, she would always call in at crazy times. And yeah, she was just like one of those people who, you know, you work with, but you're also friends with. And every time I saw her and she would come visit us, she used to just be so entertaining and telling us so many interesting stories about her life, and just always the consistency of being so driven and really creating opportunities for herself, creating opportunities for other people. And definitely one of my favorite people I ever met through this line of work. And we miss her a lot.
Hi Tahani's family, this is Fred. I'm one of the co-founders at Turn, but I'm also what I think was a friend of Tahani, who I met through the community. I hear you wanted to hear from us, which is very nice of you. It's nice to remember her together. It's been a while now, but memories haven't faded at all. Just recently we came across some things she said that we had written down about her experience with us and what she took from it and what she saw for herself in the community. So it always keeps us inspired. So her mindset, her spirit is with us and keeps us going. For me, Tahani was somebody who had incredible energy and gave us hope that what we were doing to help the community was really worthwhile and kept us going as well. So I think she had like an awareness that many people didn't have for other people doing this kind of work, and was encouraging. So whilst we would be helping her, she would be helping us help others and motivate us. There was a side that some team members saw of her, which was her artistic side, which I only got to see online, but I know there was a big side of her. With her I always talk business and being an entrepreneur, but I know she was an artist too, and inspiration to others and a peer as well. And she came such a long way, and she had such a long way to go, but it's cool that she looked after others and had the aspirations of others in mind. So whatever she was working on, Jazil and all these projects, she was always having in mind the others to create, and she was an enabler, and I think she is enabling many people still through the things that she left behind and that others have taken up, which is also really positive. And so we will do our best to work on her hopes and put that in practice in the future, and maybe we get a chance to hear from you and to meet you one day. We look forward to that and connecting with you.
Hi, my name is Lucas Farthing, and I wanted to record this video to remember a friend and real inspiration to us all, Tahani. I first met Tahani when I was working at the British Red Cross, and she came to the Hackney Destitution Centre as an early 20-year-old, and she was full of light and full of energy. And I remember meeting her for the first time, and she just wanted to get involved in everything that we were doing, whether it was a ukulele class or poetry or cooking. I think she helped out doing the dishes after lunch. She had a real presence about her, and it was such a joy just meeting someone so happy and so positive in a place where people were really suffering. She brought a real ray of light into that place, and she did in every aspect. I then started working with her in a capacity where she was part of the Voices project in London, as part of the British Red Cross, and I was part of that too. And I could really see her passion for social justice, for human rights, and for creativity. And she put everything 100% into everything she did, and she had so much joy and so much love and so much light to give the world. Then there was lockdown, and didn't see Tahani for a long time, and I got a job at Turn, and she was on the Takeoff incubation program, and I was her coach. And I remember starting thinking, I know a familiar face, there's someone I know, and I felt so reassured that I'd be working with Tahani. And I remember about 2 or 3 weeks into my role at Turn, and she said to me on a coaching call, she said, Lucas, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. And I felt very out of my depth. I wasn't sure what was going on at work, not in a bad way. I was just learning so much so quickly, and she was so reassuring and caring. And, she was such a wonderful, wonderful person. She's so deeply missed by all of us. And, I just want to take a moment to think and to really remember her from my point of view. And she just brought joy and light to everybody. And her passion really just shone through in everything she did. She'd walk into a room and it would just inflate with energy. She was a really amazing, amazing person, an incredible young woman. And I feel really, truly blessed to have known her for so long as I did in many, many different capacities. Tahani really helped shape who I am today in many ways. And yeah, what a privilege and pleasure that I had the joy of knowing her, and I'll always remember Tahani.
I'm Kitty. I was fortunate enough to be Tahani's mentor throughout the Turn Takeoff program. From the moment I met Tahani, her smile and her motivation, her kind heart just shone through, and it was a privilege in my life to work with her and to help her grow her business. I used to look forward so much to Tuesday evenings when we would sit together during the workshops. There'd always be some growth issue that we would talk about, and that I could hopefully help her kind of sort through. It was wonderful to see the business grow, to become more organized, for Tahani herself to grow as a founder, and that her desire to make a difference in the world was still so strong. Even after she started to achieve more success in the corporate world, she still held her dream of Jazeel eventually becoming a social project. It's honestly, even as I talk about her now, I smile despite the loss, and I just want to say that she was a gift to the world, and I am proud and privileged to have known her even for a short time, even to have only met her in person once. The rest of the time we worked entirely online. And I still feel, I felt at the time when I heard the news about her, and I still feel that a light has gone out in the world, and I miss her in the world, and I miss her.
Hello, I am Lila Davidson, and for the past couple of years I have been managing the Voices Network at the British Red Cross. The Voices Network is a project for refugees and people seeking asylum who want to speak up, to share their insights and ideas, to change minds, to change policy and to change practice, and essentially improve life for other refugees and people seeking asylum in the UK. I now work within the co-production team at the Red Cross, but Tahani was a member of the Voices Network, and I first met her in the summer of 2019 when I went down to London to deliver media and politics training to a group of newly recruited Voices ambassadors in the Red Cross Angel office in London. Tahani was a member of that group, a member of the Voices Network, and when I was delivering the training that day, she was just so engaged, so curious. She was very eager to learn. She always asked really intelligent and insightful questions. I remember her smile and her big eyes. She was just full of energy and really lit up the room with her positive energy. She was really friendly as well and really kind to everyone else in the group. I think I was so impressed by Tahani straight away, the first time I met her. She was so ambitious and had lots of brilliant ideas on how to improve life for refugees and for people seeking asylum. I remember shortly after that, Tahani came with me to our Red Cross head office in Moorgate in London, and Tahani was sitting around a table with our Director of Refugee Services and Restoring Family Links at the British Red Cross, Alex Fraser. And Alex, I could see how impressed he was by Tahani. They were deep in discussion, and Tahani was giving Alex advice on how to better support refugees and people seeking asylum to gain skills and education and get into employment so that people could really thrive in the UK. And yeah, I could just see he was so impressed with all of her ideas and insights, this young woman who was just fantastic. After that meeting, I remember Tahani got a tour of the Red Cross head office, and she was so keen to speak to all of the different staff members. She was talking to some of my colleagues about her passion for writing and for copy editing, and she was really keen to get some work experience with different teams within the Red Cross. As I live in Scotland, I only met Tahani maybe 4 or 5 times, but we chatted a lot over WhatsApp as well, and she was always very keen to engage in lots of different opportunities with the Voices Network and with the British Red Cross, and keen to speak up for change and to make the world a better place. At the end of 2019, Tahani wrote a beautiful poem called "This Poem Is Not For You," and her words were just so beautiful. I could tell she was a real creative person. And then in January 2020, the Voices Network had a big conference in Westminster Parliament, and Tahani represented the Voices Network there along with about 20 other or so Voices ambassadors and people with lived experience of refugee and asylum issues from around the UK. So they were all in Parliament hosting their own event, which was just incredible, honestly. I remember Tahani speaking to high profile MPs such as Munira Wilson and also Baroness Lister, who at the time, Baroness Lister was, so she's a member of the House of Lords, and she was trying to introduce a new law which would make it easier for refugees and for people who had just been granted their status, and really to prevent people being made homeless and destitute as they move on after that period from seeking asylum and moving on from asylum accommodation. So she spoke a lot about a lot of the issues that people are facing and just highlighted the importance of having a better, more kinder and fair system for refugees and people seeking asylum in the UK. I remember I took a photo of Tahani standing in the room in Westminster Parliament with a couple of members of my team, and she's also speaking to a Glasgow MP, Chris Stevens, and I could just tell how captivated the MP, Chris Stevens, was by what Tahani was saying. And she's a really good sense of humour, and I think often made people laugh and just brought a lot of joy. And I remember taking this photograph, and you can see in it my colleague just laughing so much and Chris Stevens really enjoying what Tahani was saying and really being engrossed in her words. And I think she just really engaged people, which was brilliant. I think everyone who met Tahani was impressed by her talents and just in awe of her and her ambition and kindness. I think she always thought about how other people were doing as well. After that event in Parliament in January 2020, the Voices Network had a big event in Amnesty International's head office in London that same evening. And they had over 100 members of the public there, and the Voices ambassadors put on a photography exhibition. There was a theatre performance. Voices ambassadors recited poems, songs, music, and gave powerful speeches. It was all to speak up for the rights of refugees and people seeking asylum. And I remember speaking to Tahani in a side room just before she was about to go on. I think she had come in a bit late, and she told me she was so nervous. And I remember being really shocked that she was nervous. She was about to perform her poem that she wrote and also a song, and she played her ukulele. I think it was a song from her home country, and it was just really, really beautiful, and everyone was standing up, clapping and cheering when she finished. It was really touching and really powerful. And yeah, it was just a very magical time to work with Tahani and to see her talent grow. I will always remember Tahani. She was a really special person, and her family should really be proud of everything she achieved.
مساء الخير. أنا أنس أباني، اشتغلت بشركة جزيل تقريبا سنة ونص. تعرفت على أنس-Tahani الله يرحمه خلال بداية أول عمل، وقت عم تخبرني عن مشروعها وعلى الشيء عم تطمح فيه وعم تنويه. تفاجأت للأمانة إنه في شخص أو فتاة من العالم العربي يكون عندها هيك طموح وهيك طاقة إيجابية وخبرة. نادر، يعني أول مرة كنت بشوف هيك شيء. فخبرتها إنه طموحها كثير عالي، حتى البزنس عم تساويه وتوسع عم تساويه والأفكار اللي حاملتيها شخص غير عادي. تركت بصمة حلوة وبقلوبنا وبعقولنا، يعني معاملات خاصة بالعمل. معاملات بتكون شديدة أو مثلا أو ممكن في كثير مشاكل، بالعكس ما بتذكر إنه كان في مشاكل، بالعكس كانت كثير شخص متفهم، شخص طموح، شخص احترافي، شخص بيعطي وقته وجهده بأي شيء، بيحب اللي بيساويه. كانت شخص بتحب تساوي شيء يكون مميز وتستمتع فيه عم تساويه. الله يرحمه ويعوضها جنة. وأكيد يعني والدها ووالدتها الله يصبرهم ويكافيهم كمان على الصبر ويسلم إيديهم. يعني بالنهاية إن كان أنس-Tahani الله يرحمه، أنس-Tahani أو إخواتهم أشخاص معدنهم الماس، ذهب، وطبعا من الأصل اللي هن الأهل. كمعاملة نادرة ما تلاقي هيك أشخاص، وإنك تحاطوا هيك أشخاص بهالمزايا والخلق الموجودة عندهم قليل ما حتى تشوفها، فبيكون هذا رزق بس معرفة له. أخيرا أنا ما فيني أتمنى إلا إنه الله يرحمها ويعوضها ويصبرنا. كانت رئيسة عمل، كانت أخت، كانت شخص غالي وعزيز بالسيم اللي حملتها طول حياتها. وما فينا نقول إلا الله يرحمها ويصبرنا بإذن الله. السلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salma Shakir, and today we'll talk a little bit about Tahani Allah yarham. I met Tahani تقريبا I would say a year and 3 months ago to be specific. And I met her while filming a show called Yalla Bahar. بالنسبة لي يلا بحر was a very new experience, very tough experience, and I was terrified doing it or filming it صراحة. And Tahani was a person that welcomed me with open arms. I found comfort in her filming this hard show. And we became close. We became very, very close in a very short period of time. I loved her spirit. I loved how friendly she was. I loved how safe she was. She was truly, truly a safe place for me in a very hard situation. So you can say I found a huge comfort in her in that aspect. I'll tell you a little bit about her and a moment that will forever stand for me with Tahani. Some people might find it very small, but for me it was big. So like I said, in the show we encountered many problems. It was tough, and she always stood by us, me and Sarah, my co-host, and she always fought for our safety, fought for our rights. She was like an advocate for us. She was the voice for us. And so in one of the trips, we were in a boat trip, and we're on a boat trip, and Tahani and I were sitting on the top of the boat. We were just alone on like the surface of the boat where the sea was right in front of us. And she was putting some music, playing some music, very old music, like, you know, childhood music, Akon, Usher, all of these things. And she was controlling it. and we're just enjoying, having a laugh after a tough day of filming. And she looks at me, and then she always used to call me this. She always used to call me, because we used to call on the phone a lot, like almost every day. She always used to say, "Little Miss Shaker, Little Miss Shaker, hi, Little Miss Shaker." She always used to say that. So she told me, she always used to call me just Shaker in general, because Selma Shakir, but she calls me Shaker. But she looks at me and she tells me, I'm glad I met you, and kida, she like, you know when it's not kida fast, it was serious for a bit. And she looks at me and she just says, "I'm very glad I met you." And I looked at her and I was like, "I'm glad I met you too." Like, منطقيا. But she stares at me and she says, "I'm really glad I met you. I'm happy to have met a person like you. I'm happy that we were close, and I love you." And then I looked at her and I was like, "I love you too, but why are you saying it like this, you know? Why are you saying it like this?" And this was around a week before her death. And she just said, "I wanted to tell you." And she just said, "I'm leaving." And then I was like, "Leaving? Where are you going? Where are you going?" And she just said, "It's better for me to leave." And from that aspect, she was talking about leaving the show as a worker there. So I was just like, "No, don't leave us. You're the best part about this show. You're everything for us. We need you, Sarah and I. We need you. Don't leave us." And she didn't. She stayed for us, and our relationship and bond just got closer and closer. So, subhanallah, I go back to that moment and I see it as closure for myself, and as if she was saying goodbye. I believe that a person knows before they pass, and I really hope that she shared a moment like this with everyone, where she got to say something that just gives them closure. And this was my closure moment, because I saw her after maybe 2-3 times, but it was عادي, we were laughing, we were just normal, but it was that moment that made me remember her.
So today, 21st of February 2023, same day 2022, my closest friend Tahani, she was like not my closest friend, she was my closest friend. She was a business partner. She was sometimes an older sister, sometimes she was a younger sister. It was kind of confusing, because she's literally the person you want around in any scenario in your life. Literally, she's just amazing. There is no other word for that. I think there is no other word that can describe how amazing she was. She was just amazing. She taught me a lot. She changed who I am in ways that I don't even understand, and in a lot of really amazing ways. I am who I am now, a lot of part because of her. I'm here because the last day I saw Tahani was here. We spent all day, maybe until all night, until like 5 a.m. We're sitting here discussing ideas, discussing companies, discussing where we are, where we are in life, where we want to be in life. It was an amazing day. It was such an amazing time. The day I came back here, same day last year, one thing I realized was Tahani was loved by everyone, literally everyone. People who just saw her once, just like passing by or something, or said hi to or whatever, they were in love with her, like to a point that it was ridiculous. Like literally anyone passed, like just talks to her, gets to know her, just gets amazed by how amazing she was. This is, I guess, a common thing you probably hear from a lot of people who are around her. Any point of her life, I bet. I don't know, there is no other words to describe it. I guess I would leave you with this. It's a quote, I guess, from Michael Jackson. I don't know why this came to my mind now. But this quote was basically, if you live life being loved, and if you leave life being loved, and knowing that you are loved, that's like all that matters. And in her case, that's exactly it. She lived life around a lot of people that love her, and want the best for her, and she left life with exactly that.